Hello and welcome back to the Choose You Calgary podcast. I'm your host, Virginia Harvey, and today I'll be chatting with Deirdre Mooney, an academic advisor at UCalgary Student Success Center. Welcome to the show, Deirdre.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you here today. To start off, could you tell me and our listeners a little bit more about your role here at the U of C?
Yeah, so I'm an academic advisor for Exploratory Students, and that really means supporting all prospective or undergraduate students who are unsure of what they want to study or who are maybe looking to augment the degree program that they're already in. So largely my role really revolves around supporting decision-making and educational planning to help students determine or reach their educational and career goals. And I also, it's important to note too, that I run a program every summer for incoming first-year students to help with their first-time course registration. So anyone coming in the upcoming year, they can get support through that program over the summer.
That sounds very helpful for our listeners who are prospective UCalgary students. So you're working out of the Student Success Center. Could you tell me a little bit more about that and what it does for the U of C?
Yeah, so the Student Success Center is kind of an incredible office for all students. So as I talked about, the exploratory advising team is really just one component of the Student Success Center. And the rest of the Student Success Center focuses more on learning support. So helping students with, transitioning to university study from high school, developing strong study habits, overcoming procrastination, all of that kind of stuff. We also have a writing support team that helps students specifically with developing their writing skills. And there's lots of other programming within the office that really supports all kinds of student learning.
I've had some experience with the Student Success Center myself, and it's definitely an awesome resource for students here.
Yeah, great. That's good to hear.
Could you tell me sort of broadly what is a degree program?
Yeah, it is kind of a complicated term, actually. So really a degree program makes up all of the components of a student's academic experience in university. So the program itself is really a set of courses required for a specific discipline or field of study, like a subject area. Those courses provide the skills, the knowledge, and the ways of thinking related to that discipline. And since these courses really are the majority of the program, we do often refer to them as the major. So that's where that term comes from. But the degree program itself also includes an option side of the degree, and that's really an opportunity for students to explore other areas of interest and other ways of thinking, and to really personalize their program to fit their goals. And that can encompass things like co-op or internship, study abroad or group study, embedded certificates or minors, or even just generalized courses of a student's choosing. So in essence, though, ultimately the degree program really determines the type of credential that a student would receive. So, for example, a Bachelor of Nursing or a Bachelor of Science or a Bachelor of Fine Arts, etc.
I know for myself, it definitely wasn't quite a linear process getting to where I'm at now in the Bachelor of Commerce.
Yeah.
And I know there are over 250 program combinations at UCalgary. So how do you recommend students start researching universities and all these different degree programs?
That's an excellent point. There is a lot of choice, and that's great. That's actually really, really fantastic. But I think sometimes, especially while we're in high school, that can be very overwhelming. And so ultimately, we do kind of encourage students to be really open to what possibilities or like that non-linear path could open and present itself when they get to university. So yeah, our exploratory advising team helps students walk through an exploration process. And that process really challenges students to be mindful of the steps needed to make a more informed decision. So rather than choosing a program based on, gut feeling or, what your friends are going into, instead to reflect on who they are, to gather some information about those programs, really evaluate those options, and then make a decision. So we start that process by reflecting on who students are and what they want to achieve or get out of their experience. And then the information gathering is really about researching the degree programs and careers available. So the best resources for that often are the online resources that the institution itself provides, and even some governmental resources too.
Are there any specific tools that you recommend sort of in that area?
Yeah, so our exploratory process starts with reflect and connect as the first stage. So as I said, really getting to know who you are as a person and what it is that you want to do while you're in university. So that's reflecting on your motivators, right? So what is motivating the decision to come to university? What are you hoping to get out of it? Then personality traits. And we use the Holland codes to look at that particular component of reflection. The Holland codes is just one personality assessment, but why it's helpful for students is it is based on a career development theory that says the more aligned my personality traits are with my career's personality traits, the more satisfaction I'm meant to get out of it. So we have put together an assessment to let students kind of determine what their top personality traits are. And then we've provided a list of all of our degree programs and majors that fit with those traits. And certainly that's not prescriptive. So students can definitely be choosing majors or degree programs outside of their top traits. But it's a good way to kind of start the process. And then we also encourage students to really think about their own interests, so personal, academic, and occupational. And I think that one is particularly challenging. I think there's a lot of seeming pressure in society for our personal interests to become the things that we are academically or occupationally interested in. And that doesn't always work for students. The things that I am really occupationally and academically interested in now are things that I would have never assumed I was interested in as a high school student, and they do not really reflect my personal interests. But all of that had to be learned, like it was through the experience of going to university. And then lastly, we encourage students to really look at their academics. So what are the things that they are successful in? And what are the things that are challenging for them? And really critically reflect on what makes those things successes and what makes them challenges, particularly thinking about what could be considered a straight out barrier to achieving something versus just a challenge that maybe could be overcome with some support. So that's really what our reflect and connect in that exploration process is all about. And then, as I said, for gathering information, we really direct students to UCalgary's Explore Programs website, to our academic calendar, and to career services degree profiles to look at potential jobs related to degree programs. So those are our three really good resources to understand more about what my university experience is going to help me do.
Well, that may sound like a lot. The Student Success Center actually created an awesome Majors Exploration for High School Students package. So you can walk through this package and it will take you through the exploration process and really help you find what you're interested in and maybe even choose a program. I've linked this package in the episode notes, so be sure to check that out.
Yeah, and I will just add to that quickly that You're totally right. It's a process and it is going to take time, and I don't want to gloss over that. But we really do find that when students are willing to put the time and effort into it, they do make more informed choices about their degree program and end up making more satisfactory choices as well, being more satisfied with their university experience.
I went through quite a stressful time when I was switching from my initial degree of engineering into the Bachelor of Commerce. So I definitely would recommend taking the time at the start so you don't have to go to the exploratory advisors in your second or third year and try to figure that out then.
Yeah, but I mean, if you do that too, that's okay too.
Yeah, there's definitely support no matter when you need it.
Yeah, there's no real one way to do this, I think is an important thing for students to recognize too. I also changed programs in university. I started wanting to go to journalism when I was in high school, and the idea was I was going to get a journalism degree, become a journalist. It was a clear, linear path. And I did one semester of journalism school and decided that it wasn't for me, and then really kind of freaked out about what I was going to do next. So it happens to everybody. And even with that, I then decided to do an education degree and went into teaching and then changed my career. So yeah, life is not linear.
Definitely not. Do you have any idea of how many students actually end up changing their degree program during university?
Yeah, the research generally suggests that up to 70% of students, of all undergraduate students, change their major. So that's a lot. We don't have specific numbers for UCalgary students, but our appointments are booked up all the time. So I would imagine that 70% is probably pretty standard for our institution too, which to me really reflects that idea that it's okay to change your mind, but for sure take some time to do more of that exploration at the beginning.
Absolutely. What support do you offer to students specifically that are looking to change at the Student Success Center?
Yeah, so exploratory advising really does that. We work with students individually to really talk through those reflect pieces and help them start gathering information. Sometimes we meet students who are more in that evaluative side or phase. So they, have a few programs in mind, but are trying to decide between them. And so really helping students with that decision making. We also offer a workshop called How to Choose a Major, which is very similar to what we provided at Open House. It's a more extended version of the majors exploration for high school students. And that's for students who are currently in undergrad programs who are looking to make changes. So there is lots of support, and it's not like a one and done advising model. Students can come and meet with us as much as they need to help walk through that decision, because as you and I have both discussed, it can be stressful and challenging.
Yeah, for sure. And like you mentioned, there are tons of different program options here. What options do students have for taking multiple programs if maybe they're interested in more than one and really passionate about pursuing multiple?
Yeah, there's quite a few ways that a student can almost more personalize their degree to achieve a bit more, right? To help them reach their goals, and particularly if they are interested in more than one thing. So we do offer combined degrees. That's 2-degree credentials that typically is achieved within 5 years. And it combines 2-degree program types, but still has room for options. So most commonly, it's an opportunity to study programs offered from different faculties. So one of our most common combined degrees is the concurrent education that combines with science, arts, or kinesiology. but a student could even do something like computer science combined with commerce. The one thing to note about a combined degree is that there are specific programs that are approved for combined, so not everything can be combined. Another option would be to look at a double major. The difference between a double major and a combined is that a double major is just one degree credential, so typically achieved within 4 years. And then it would mean that that whole program is really focused on 2 disciplines or fields of study, 2 subject areas. And it often doesn't include very many options. So it's a way for a student to just like really dive into 2 specific subject areas and complete a degree focused on that. And again, there are some kind of stipulations around what could be considered a double major. So for sure, if a combined or a double major is of interest, then be sure to research that and check to find out if that's actually an option. Students can also choose to do a minor, and a minor is a component of the degree program that comes from the options side, and it's really a secondary field of study or subject area that's different from that main program or major. It is roughly 10 to 12 courses, so it doesn't cover as much depth as something like a combined degree or a double major would, but it does give a student, this other area of expertise. And we also offer embedded certificates too. So the unique thing about an embedded certificate is that the courses that make up a certificate actually are from such a wide range of subject areas that a student could even achieve a certificate within the required courses for their program. So we have embedded certificates in things like sustainability studies and mental health and well-being and creative writing. So kind of a neat way to get a certification in addition to your degree.
So between combined degrees, double majors, minors, and embedded certificates, there's definitely a way for any student to make their degree what they want and explore all their interests.
For sure. And I should point out too that none of those are things that a student has to do. It's really a choice. And a lot of times students choose one of those things or even multiple of those things later on. Like I get started on a degree program and decide, kind of stumble into a minor or stumble into a minor that then I decide I want to make into a double major or a combined degree. So lots of flexibility, but also, lots of opportunity to do none of that.
Yeah, for sure. So with all these different programs, all these options, such a big exploration process, what advice do you have for students who are going to apply to university soon?
Yeah, I would really encourage students to just take that time to reflect and explore what their options are and to thoroughly research our degree programs and the academic experiences offered within them, as well as the career opportunities. Starting with potential careers is a good way to work your way backwards to see what field of study I might need to do a career. And always make sure to be connecting that research to your motivators, personality traits, interests, and academics. Ultimately, I would say the best advice is really to be open to new possibilities and that it's okay to change your mind.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today and for sharing your expertise with our prospective student listeners.
Thank you. Thanks again. And good luck to everyone.
That concludes today's episode. To learn more about the University of Calgary and our Student Success Center, please follow the links in the episode description. Thanks for listening and have a great day.